For latest updates and short audio clips, follow us on Instagram, Reading the Author.
Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast Reading the Author, a unique show where we read authors' mind and not their book. Meanwhile, I truly believe and pray कि आप और आपका पूरा परिवार healthy हो, happy हो, safe हो. Guys, today we have Aman Singh Maharaj with us, and he is the author of A Dalliance with Destiny. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on our show. It is my honor to be able to host you today.
Hi Gaurav, thank you for hosting me, and please call me Aman. No formalities with me.
It comes just out of respect, sir, nothing else. And
No, I know.
okay. So, before we proceed in the podcast and know much more about your, work, about the book you have written and everything, I would request you to please introduce yourself so that our listeners can know much more about you, and do let us know how you started this writing journey.
Sure, Gaurav. So I'm based in Durban, South Africa. Our family's has been based here for about 150 years. So it's a very, very long time. On my mom's side, I'm third generation Indian.
Mm-hmm.
And on my dad's side, I'm fourth generation Indian. So they left India around about 1860, between 1860 and 1911. It was under the British Raj back in that era. So I am, by qualifications, I'm a civil engineer, MBA, and then a PhD in development economics.
Okay.
But I don't really use these qualifications, Gaurav. I'm mainly a businessman now. And the writing is something that's always been a passion for me. I used to read a lot as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow around about 2006, I found the time to just begin writing. And as I wrote each word, the next, word came. So I didn't have to actually plan it out. It just sort of mapped itself out on its own as I typed out the words. So writing gives me a sense of fulfillment that, my normal work sphere doesn't give me as a businessman. So I try and sort of straddle many different aspects of my life through different careers and different passions and so forth. Live a very good life in Durban. Not many Indians know about South Africa, except because of our cricket. Indians treat cricket as a religion, and they know South Africa has a pretty good cricket team. But we're a lovely country with about 1.5 million Indians, of which about 1.2 stay in my city, which is Durban. It probably has the largest concentration of Indians in one city outside of India itself. And we're on the east coast of South Africa. Very lovely city. And it's almost like a holiday resort kind of city.
Okay. So, sir, now talking about from a perspective of a new reader, after listening to this podcast, many people would, just love to explore the book, where they will be, interested in buying the book. So, from a new reader's perspective, what they can expect from this book? Can you share some insights, what exactly the book have?
So, Gaurav, it's a pretty philosophical book, although it's a work of fiction. It's got a bit of comedy, it's got a bit of romance, and it's got a bit of philosophy. But it's a kind of like the literature of old, like your Charles Dickens and Thomas Hardy kind of literature, where it's a long book. It's about 400 pages. Originally, it was about 1,200 pages, and I cut it down quite a bit, actually. But it's a very sweeping kind of novel that's set between the years of 1910 and 2010. So it's a 100-year time span.
Okay.
And it's about 20% set in South Africa and about 80% in India.
Okay.
And the genre is called a coming of age, which is about, exploring a man in his early 30s, although he's already a man being in his early 30s, but he's on an exploration, a kind of a journey where he escapes from South Africa looking, for some sort of guidance that he expects to find in India. And he just, goes hopping from city to city, and he's traveling up the Ganges from Calcutta or Sagar Island near Calcutta to Gaumukh, which is near Gangotri, where the source of the Ganges is. He goes through his ancestral villages, and he has all these mystical experiences. He's looking for love, sex, a guru, whatever comes his way. He just wants to be away from the country of his birth. So, it's not an easy book. It's not commercial fiction. It's more sort of literature, the old school kind of literature. So I would think it's for a discerning reader. That it sounds a bit egotistical for me to say that, but it is what it is, and I don't want to bear false modesties. It's not a book for the average man.
Okay. So, after reading this book, let's say if the reader who already read the book, read this book, so if they will be interested to know what is upcoming, have you ever thought what the upcoming novel will be, or what the upcoming book you will be able to write? You want to experiment on some other genres, or you want to stick to these only? Is there anything in the pipeline?
So Gaurav, I thought I'll only ever write one book and leave it at that, because it was, I wanted to be a one-hit wonder. And, I won't say writing the book takes a lot of time. It's editing the book that takes a hell of a lot of time. And I was very iffy, I just wanted to write one book and leave it out there and that finish. That was my dream. And, I completed that bucket list and it's over and done with. But I've been getting so many calls for me to do a kind of another book. And I've been thinking, should I do a different genre, or should I extend on the book that I have written? And part of me wants to write about the formative years of the main character in my book that I released. So a kind of exploration of his age from approximately 7 to about 12 or so, as he evolves. Because they found that chapter very lyrical, so it might become an extension of that chapter. But I haven't yet, formalized anything in my head as yet.
So, sir, as you have completed this whole journey of, writing, editing, publishing, and finally, you are kind of marketing your book as of now. So, when it comes to this, what I have personally seen, we have been in this industry for more than 7 years as of now. And what I have closely observed that after the first lockdown was over, the numbers of author got increased very rapidly. There was a boom in this book industry, what I have seen. In fact, the publishing has become much more easier. There are lots of literary agents are there, and lots of self-publishing. KDP is also there. So, according to you, how hard it has become as of now to just make your book stand out in the market, or what is you are someone who feels each book will get some kind of their specific readers. Every author will get their particular audience. What's your take on this?
So, my advice, first of all, Gaurav, is don't treat writing a novel as your career unless you have a huge bank balance or a huge trust fund that you've inherited from your parents, because it's not something you can bank upon to pay the bills unless you win a Booker Prize or some sort of international book prize. On the other hand, if we look at maybe 100 years ago, or maybe 150 years ago, when Charles Dickens and Thomas Hardy used to write, they had no other competition. It was a few writers, and over and above that, they were not competing like how we competing with other sources of entertainment. I mean, when you tell people in South Africa, you need to read, they don't want to read. It's, I'll wait for the audio book to come, or maybe it might become a movie or a mini series and I'll watch it then. So you guys in India are very, very lucky. There's still a huge hunger for reading in India. I mean, I've been to so many book festivals in India. And, almost every city and town has a book festival lined up, maybe once or twice a year. It's not the same in South Africa. We probably have about 3 or 4 book festivals as compared to India. So you can't compare the two countries from a literary point of view between India and South Africa. It's just totally different. So you're very lucky. If you're an avid reader, you're in the right country. I think you probably have more people, greater demand for English books in India, simply based on sheer numbers of people, than even in England. And even England has a love affair for books set in India, because of the colonial past that it comes from. So, whilst there has been an increase in writers, I don't think there's been an increase in the appreciation of writing itself, not in South Africa. India, maybe. So, yeah, you're pretty lucky.
So, is there any particular writing schedule? Like, when you were writing this novel, what was your schedule when it comes to writing? Like, you used to write every day, or you just, if you get some thought, you just jot it down on your phone, on a diary, and then after some days, or when you get time, you just carry on. How does it goes with you?
So, Gaurav, when I first wrote the book, I wrote it in 2006, and I wrote, like I said, 1,200 pages in 3 months. But that was because I had been suspended at work for complaining about one of my superiors. And instead of my superior facing the sort of charges or the challenges, because I was not a politically connected person, they turned it around and I had to face the drama. And because of that, I had to decide, I can sit here and look at the four walls and just go mad in the process, or I can do something productive. So I just started using my laptop to type. And as I typed it out, like I said, the words just flowed. I didn't need to plan out my book. So, like I said, writing the book was the easy part if you have the time. I didn't have to plan because I had that 3 months where I was doing nothing. But it was the editing, you gotta, because no book can go out there without being heavily edited. And I found sometimes when I was driving, a thought will come into my head and I'll think, that really will go well in my book. So I literally used to stop my car, take out my cell phone, and go into the notes and type in some notes there, which I would use later when I get home to my laptop and add it into my book or amend my book. So it depends on which area of, which sort of part of the writing process you are. If you just still writing the book itself, then it's vastly different from the editing sort of timeline of the book. So I think ultimately you got to approach things from a different, each, when you're writing the book versus editing the book with a different approach. And when you're editing the book, you must be prepared to cut out a lot of junk, because that's what I found. I had so much of junk in my first write of the book. I didn't think people would really appreciate it because it was too abstract. So what sometimes sounds good when we're talking about it, it is not necessarily good when you're reading it. It's two totally different kind of genres, sort of almost. Although maybe genre is not the right word. But what we hear versus what we read, is appreciated in different ways. So, I mean, that's about it. I mean, like, I've only written one book and that's what worked for me. And, then you get the publicity, the marketing of the book. And, when you think writing was the most effort and editing was even more, but it's actually, getting the book out there. Like you said, we've got so many people who are writing books these days. How do you differentiate your book? And you've got to just be out there marketing and using the social media and getting a publicity agent and so forth. So a lot of effort, even post writing the book and publishing it.
So, sir, now, as you said that writing a book, writing a novel was always in a bucket list. So now let's get back to the time when you heard, okay, tomorrow your book will be live. So on that particular eve, what was going on in your mind? Like, were you relaxed? Were you excited? Have you just marked up some milestones? So, okay, these many people know me, so basically my book has to be sold out these many copies in these days. What is going on in your mind?
So that's this is an unusual question. I haven't been asked this question before, and I truly appreciate it, Gaurav.
Okay.
So I released I've done a number of launches in South Africa and India. So for my first launch, it was in my city here in Durban. It was on the 25th of June 2022, and it was a Saturday. And I remember that Friday before, you get all these butterflies because remember, it took me 16 years before I released the book into the public. So it was a long time of putting effort into something. So it's almost like giving birth over a period of 16 years, so it was really stretched out.
Definitely.
So it was a mixture of feelings. Besides the butterflies, there was a little bit of anxiety. How would people react to my novel? Then there was excitement. Finally I'm there. And then there was trepidation. What if I upset people with my writing? What if they don't like it? Or what if they get angry about some of the themes that I've used? But the biggest part is the excitement, and it kind of eclipses everything else. And you just wait for that moment. And my book launch was about 3 hours, and it's very exhilarating because there were so many people. I think there were about 350 people there, so it was a huge book launch in Durban. And just to get that excitement drummed up in other people about reading once again, getting back to basics. I felt very proud of myself, and I think it gave me a sense of fulfillment that I haven't had in other areas of my life.
So, sir, after listening to this podcast, many people will, start writing, or they must be holding their first draft in their laptop, in their diary. So, what would be your advice for those upcoming authors?
So, they must be prepared for the fact that it's a long process. It's not a short process. Getting a publisher can take very long. And even when you get the publisher, they'll want you to edit it and remove certain things. I mean, when I had offers in South Africa for people to publish, or publishers to publish it, they wanted to censor my novel quite a bit. And I wasn't prepared to have my novel censored. So, I even waited until I found the right publisher, and I found someone in England who was happy enough with my novel to just sort of edit out the grammar and, maybe there was a spelling error, but they were happy with the content and the themes and the plot. So I waited it out, but you don't have to wait it out. If you are comfortable with, having publishers basically hacking through your manuscript, then it's fine. I wasn't happy about that. Maybe it comes from a point of ego. So, but they must not let that stop them, because, we don't know who has a masterpiece within them. So you take your chances. Don't let your second brain tell you, oh no, maybe people won't like it, because I've been through that. And, whether people like it or not, because you're not going to get everyone liking your book. You're going to get a bit of... I did get a lot of anger from certain people. I mean, there were hardcore feminists who didn't like the misogyny in my novel. So, I got a bit verbally attacked for it. But you have to take the good, the bad, and the ugly. It is what it is. If you have a passion for writing, don't let anything deter you from completing that novel. Even if you don't ever publish it, do it for your own internal satisfaction. And if it's good enough, trust me, somewhere, somehow, it will manifest itself.
Okay, so that's all for today, guys. I hope you must have enjoyed this lovely conversation with Aman Singh Raj sir. And if you'd like this conversation, do follow our podcast, available on all the leading podcast platforms. And don't forget to buy and read the book. You can just open Amazon and search A Dalliance with Destiny, or you can directly search Aman Singh Mahara. You will get the book and just order it, read it, and share it with your friends and family. Thank you so much, sir, for coming on our show. It was my honor to be able to host you today.
And thank you, Gaurav, for hosting me. I've had a lovely time chatting with you about my novel.
Pleasure.
You take care.
Thank you.
All right.
You
Take care.